quick recap before we go for further things. So these are the equations which we have discussed. So basically our induction motor model in the rotor flux oriented reference frame, and we have all the equations that we have understood what it represents and how these terms are related to other physical quantities. And then we have the IMR relation with ISD and slip speed relation with ISQ and IMR, then the torque equation. All these things we have seen. Then we have understood that what is the meaning of vector control, then field oriented control, and in that we are discussing the sensorless vector control, the direct vector control. So after that we will go for sensorless vector control. So difference between direct and indirect or sensored and sensorless vector control is the sensing of speed. All the other things are common. Whether we are sensing the speed or not, that is what matters. So in case of direct field oriented control, we have measured speed available from a speed sensor. And in case of indirect, we will see how to estimate this based on our current and voltages which are available with us. Now we have seen that in case of vector control for induction motor, we have basically 4 quantities to control. So sequentially we are going for DC motor we had 2, PMSM we had 3, and now for induction motor we have 4. So depending on what their time constant is, how fast they are responding with their natural properties, we can have bandwidth allocated for them. So the overall control loop for the induction motor can be given in 2 parts. One part dictating the speed control, where a speed controller is giving the ISQ reference. So we have omega and ISQ coming as outer and inner control loops. And then second is the flux control loop, where we have IMR reference given, and after the PI, after the flux controller, we have ISD reference generated. So IMR and ISD coming in the outer and inner control loops. So these are the 2 major control loops what we have to design. Now again we try to understand, when we are talking about the quantities, we have to linearize. Linearize basically means whatever non-linear terms are there. Let's say this feed forward term. So we compensate in advance. So the remaining portion, whatever we are seeing over here, is nothing but a kind of RL circuit which we have to control with the input voltage. So this feed forward term we compensate in advance. So this is where we have compensated here. Understanding my point? Is this clear to all of you up to this?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Now when we have this plant for the ISD or ISQ current, because for both of them the plant is same, so we can have a common approach for designing the controller for the current, D or Q axis, it doesn't matter. So we have seen how this can be done. So our current control loop we have given over here. So somehow we are having the reference for the current, whether it is D axis current or Q axis current, it doesn't matter. The design is same. Somehow we have the reference. Now after this, what we want that our output should track this, and overall what we want that it should have very small time, what is called as, in first order system there is nothing called settling time, but you may call as very small time constant for tracking this. So this is what we do by deciding the bandwidth of the system. So first what we do, whichever is the slowest pole in the system. Slowest pole means it is responsible for a sluggish response. It will take the current very slowly to the reference value. Now if we cancel that and make the bandwidth faster, the response may look much better. Something like this. So this is what we are trying to do. And using this controller, if we rearrange our open loop transfer function, we can cancel this pole and 0. So the meaning of pole 0 cancellation is that this coefficient is equal to this coefficient. Kp by Ki is equal to sigma Ls by Rs. This we have understood. Now our open loop transfer function has only this term. So then we can write the closed loop transfer function, and whatever is the coefficient of S again, that corresponds to the bandwidth of the system. So S by whatever you get over here, that is the bandwidth of the system, which we are equating to 1/10 of the 2 pi times of switching frequency. That is clear, right? There is no confusion in this. This part is clear, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, finally, what we have, the closed loop transfer function is this only, which means it is equivalent to, we have our current reference passing through this box or this transfer function or this gain, and then giving us our actual quantity. So the whole closed loop control for the current can be represented like a simple unit over here like this. So you can replace whatever bigger loop you had for the current control with this box, because this is what you have essentially brought it down to. Understanding my point? Good. Now, one question Vijeta had, that what is Ka? Now, when we are doing this, writing this block diagram, we are writing this Ka and then our plant, and this is this. So what is this Ka? This was the question. Or in other words, if I say, what is inverter gain? What is the meaning of that? So can someone tell what is that?
Sir, it is the gain which we give in the plant, sir. Means the value which decide how much value I want to give in plant excited. The plant is excited by how much times. This is.
That is partially correct. The meaning is, let us say, when we talk from control system point of view. So from control system point of view, we have signals flowing everywhere. When we are designing our block diagram, designing our controller. So these are all signals measured, let us say, in dB or their respective values, whatever. But generally, signal is represented in dB in control system. So when we are doing modeling for each and every part, this is what we are doing. We have represented Pi, the controller, as Kp plus Ki by S. This is what? This is modeling of the Pi controller according to what its nature is. It has a proportional component and integrator component. When we have plant, how do we model? We model it by 1 by Rs plus S sigma Ls. This means what? This is the nature of this system, nature of this plant. It is kind of RL circuit. That is what it is representing. Understanding my point? Now, what is the input, what is the output to this block? Let us say when we are feeding, when we talk about this plant, 1 by Rs plus S sigma Ls. So what is the input to this? What is the input to this block?
Yes.
Yes, the voltage. And what is the output?
Current.
Current. So this is kind of, you are representing the impedance Z over here. That's all. So you are dividing by Z. If I ask you to write, this is simply 1 by Z. That is what you are doing in the modeling. But Z contains R and L both. Understanding my point? Now, if you have to plot, let us say, this gain 1 by Z, whatever is there, in terms of frequency response, it will be something like this. What is the meaning of this? What is meaning of this? Let's say G plant. The meaning is with respect to different frequencies of the input, how the output voltage or how the output magnitude is going to be. Let us say if you feed a DC quantity to RL circuit, if you give a DC voltage, let's say V equal to 5 volts. So what will happen? It will ultimately settle to V by R, which means L will not have any effect on that. Understanding my point? So the corner frequency, what it represents, that's after what frequency your output starts seeing a decline in the magnitude for the given frequency. Let's say you keep 5 volts same and you have, so I should write as input voltage, let us say this Vs is equal to 5 sine omega t. So omega is your frequency. Let me write here omega then in electrical radian per second. Now when omega is very small, this means what? This is equivalent to DC voltage. That time your gain is constant. There is no change in the output. Even if you increase your frequency from 0 to, let us say, this corner frequency, there is no much appreciable difference in the output current magnitude. Understanding my point? But the moment your omega crosses this corner frequency, there is sudden reduction in the magnitude of current what you start seeing. This is coming on account of what this nature of the plant is. Simple meaning, if you have inductor, its impedance is omega L and not L. R is R, irrespective of frequency, but your impedance for the inductor, which means XL, is increasing with frequency. Understanding my point? So that means if you keep the magnitude of the input voltage fixed and keep increasing your frequency of the input, your output will have same magnitude up to some level, but then suddenly it will start seeing a decline. This you understand what is the meaning of this plant representation, RL load, and how it is correlated to Bode plot. Gain.
Yes.
This is what we are getting out of this plant. So for each and every input, what output you can expect based on its frequency and the magnitude. These are the two things what you can feed into a system. Am I clear? So this is the modeling of this plant. Now, similarly, when we have to model our converter, what is our converter? Converter is DC to AC converter. 2 level, 3 level, whatever it is. It has DC voltage and it has AC output terminals. Now, how do you control these output voltages? Let's say VR, VY, VB. How do you control these?
So by controlling the switching of the switches.
Yes. And how do we control the switching or the gating signals?
So by using any PWM technique. So by using any PWM technique.
Correct. Now, let's say I tell you that, okay, our PWM technique is sine triangle PWM. So what will be the control parameter for this converter output voltage?
Current. Modulation index.
The modulating signals, MR, MY, MB. These are your control parameters. We do not vary this VDC to change VR, VI, VY, VB. Do we do? No, right? What do? We change our modulating signals. And we know that MR is nothing but something like M sin omega t, and similarly My MB. And what is your output voltage?
VDC by 2 into M.
VDC by 2 M. Yes.
Correct. This is your output of the converter in terms of what? Your control parameter and some feature of the converter. What is the feature that it is having so much of DC bus voltage? Understanding my point. What is your control input in this? MR. So if with respect to MR, let us say a box, you have to model that what is a converter if you have to model. So what this box will contain. So you have to understand what is the input. Input is your MR or MY or MB, the modulating signal. What is coming out? VR, VY, VB. So then what is this in the box? Some
VDC.
type of gain.
Yes, sir.
Some type of gain only, right? Something is getting multiplied to MR, and that is our output. So what you can say that in general, I mean for sine triangle PWM it is VDC by 2, but in general what it is some gain which depends on your PWM technique. Here it is VDC by 2. If you go for conventional space vector PWM, it becomes VDC by root 3. If you go for SHE PWM, it becomes 2 VDC by pi. So these are different values depending on which PWM you are using. But in general, what we say that our converter is nothing but a gain in terms of our control system. We have the modulating signal output and we have the voltage output coming out of that. I mean, modulating signal input and the voltage output. Understanding my point? This is the model. Now, there is something hidden in this. What is hidden? You are giving some modulating signal input and you are instantly getting the output. There is no difference in the two things. Understanding my point? There is no time delay whatsoever, which means your converter is responding instantaneously to whatever signal you provide over here. Understanding my point? This is to an extent okay. I would not say this is perfectly correct, but this is okay as long as your fundamental frequency is very less than your switching frequency. You can say okay, whatever delay that may come because of the physical system, every switch is turning on, turning off, there is some delay, and then whenever you are making transition, there is comparison with the triangular carrier and all that will create some delay, practically speaking. But because our fundamental frequency is very small compared to switching frequency, this model is all right. There is no problem in that. Otherwise, if we talk about a general system, so general system, what we will have, any input we are providing, let us say MR, this will have gain plus some, I mean multiplied by some delay element, and then only our VR will be available in general. Understanding my point? So the response of the system, our converter will not be exactly like this, but it may be something like this after a delay. You change something at this instant, but your output will change only after a certain time delay, certain gap. That is what we model sometimes over here. Whenever our fundamental frequency and switching frequency start coming closer to each other. So one case study we will discuss later in the course, maybe tomorrow. So then what we do, how do we model this delay? In control system, generally, any delay is modeled at this, e raised to the power minus std. So then we will say, in general, our converter has this characteristic. Understanding my point? In general, any system has this kind of characteristic. Any control system, what it will have some gain and it will have some delay. Take any system in general, whether your RL circuit or anything, everything you can express in terms of this, the gain and the delay. Understanding my point?
Yes, sir.
For simplicity, what we do, we drop this term e raised to the power minus std and we take only Ka for simplicity, nothing else. And we model our converter like this. So now, what is Ka? How will you decide? What is Ka? Yes, Vijeta?
Yes, sir. It is a gain that we provide so according to the signal, fundamental signal that we want at the output.
But what is that gain? What it is dependent on?
So on the PWM technique that we are using.
Correct.
Yes.
In case of sine triangle, specifically, you will have VDC by 2, which is the most common technique. Otherwise, in general, it is the PWM method which decides what is the gain. Understanding my point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Same is correct when we go for our DC-DC converter or DC motor control also. There also we have seen that we are modeling our converter as a gain, K. Again, in terms of control system, what we have some input signal going. There also we have some M or some reference voltage or something getting compared against this kind of carrier. Isn't it? Sawtooth carrier. And we are comparing some reference signal, according to that our output is coming out. Understanding my point? So whenever we talk about gain from control system point of view, it is not what is V output by V input for the converter. It is not that. From the control signal point of view, what signal we are feeding and what output we are getting. What is the relation between the two? So if you say your V output is D times of V in or D times of whatever, let's say VG or VDC, then what is your gain here?
So VDC?
VDC. Because D is your control signal. This is your control signal D and this is your output. So control signal, sorry, you can express it like output upon the control signal. This is your gain. This is what it is, output by the control signal or output by the input to this control block. That is what is your gain. It is not what is on the input side, what is on the output side of the converter. No. We are talking from the control system point of view. So we have control parameter as input. Is that clear? Everyone? Yes. Everyone clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir. Yes, sir.
So sometimes maybe in that case study, I will consider this delay also, and then we will see what can be done with this. How do we take care of delay? This is another important aspect which for normal rated motors or normal speed motors we do not see. But whenever we go for high power, high speed motors, these factors start coming in more frequently. And that is where we have to more carefully design our system. We have to understand what it is. How can we modify or how can we change our design to incorporate that as well? Fine. Good. So now we have understood that our current loop control is designed like this, and then ultimately it is represented like this block. So then we can go ahead with our flux controller design or flux loop control design. So this is what we had last time, the loop current, this flux control loop. We have IMR reference, we have IMR feedback, and then the error we are feeding to the PI controller, which is generating our D-axis current reference. And then our current control loop is there, which is generating the D-axis current output. This is the meaning of current control loop. We are giving some input and we are finding some output. Then we have the plant for the flux generation. Understanding my point? That is what is giving us IMR. So in that plant we have input of ISD and output as IMR. Each of this term is clear, right? Any confusion in this? Now what is our PI? How do we model this here? The same way. KP, and for some understanding I will put F for flux. So KPF, KIF, because this KPKI corresponds to flux. Then we have the current control loop, and we have seen that it can be written as this after our design is done for the current control loop. And then we have plant. What plant we have? We have seen it last time that it can be represented like this, tower or TR, and that is generating our IMR. This is fine. Now, again, the same approach we can follow. We can look for the dominant pole or the slowest pole. So we say the slowest pole means which is nearer to origin or nearer to zero, that we call as slowest pole or the dominant pole, because that is what dictates the dynamics of the system. If any pole is very far from the y-axis, then it will not be so much dictating the response of the system. It will not be so much significant, but any pole which is closer to origin, that will be dominant. Now here we have two poles, tau I and TR. Correct? So these two poles we have to somehow manage with our controller to get a good performance. Now one thing you will notice over here, that your tau I is what? It is the inverse of your current control bandwidth, which is nothing but this, isn't it? And your TR is basically error by RR. So in any case, your TR is much bigger compared to your tau I. Much bigger. Because this is directly related to your rotor inductance and resistance. Whereas here it is somewhere relating the switching frequency, which is a much higher frequency component. So this is what we will see in our system in general. Correct? Now there are two options. First option, we have this first option is to approximate this as only 1 plus STR. Don't worry about tau I because it is very far from TR. So the whole dynamics can be shown as dependent on TR only. No need to worry about tau I. Leave it. Take it as 1 simply. The current control loop is much faster, So this can be ignored. So this becomes simply 1. And then multiplied by 1 plus TR, and this is one approximation. Understanding my point? This is first approximation. The other approximation could be if, let us say, your switching frequency is not very high compared to your fundamental frequency. So this tau I will also start coming closer to your other parameters. So then in that case, what we do, we approximate it by considering tau I also. So if you multiply these terms, so it will have s square tau I into tau tr plus s times of tau I plus tr plus 1. This is the actual product. There is no approximation involved here. Now this term what is coming for s square, this has tau I into tau r or into tr. So both the components being small, the product will be even smaller. Understanding my point? Is smaller compared to what? Is smaller compared to the other terms sitting over here. Understanding my point? If let us say tau I is something like 1 millisecond and tr is something like 20 millisecond, the product will be something like 20 microsecond. Understanding my point?
Yes, sir.
So this term s square into tau I plus into tr is very insignificant compared to the other two terms. So then we can approximate this second order system as a first order system where it considers the tau I also partially. So something like this. So this system is approximated as another first order system where your pole is nothing but the sum of the two time constants, or the coefficient of s is nothing but sum of the two coefficients. Understanding my point? So then our plant can be simplified as, or our control loop can be simplified as, is that clear? This understanding you have now, how we are coming to this. So this is how judiciously we are designing the system. What it needs, what it is, what we have to do. That is how we are designing. Now, what I will do as of now. So now this is a simple quantity, no? Tau I plus tr. This is another some constant. Let me call it as tau 1 in general, right? There is no problem in that, both are constant values. So I can replace it with a number, fixed number tau 1. That is fine, right? Then I can write my open loop transfer function and I can rearrange my coefficients . So now you can see pole and zero very clearly coming over here. So what we do next? We equate these two terms. The coefficients of S are equated. So that is how we have cancelled this lower pole with this 0. And now our open loop transfer function is nothing but KIF by S, even simpler than what we had for current control. Understanding my point? So then we have closed loop. What could be the closed loop? Can you tell? Naveen, what is the closed loop transfer function now?
GOL upon 1 plus 0.
And if you simplify, it can be written as 1 plus S by KIF. Understanding my point? Now, what is the bandwidth of this system, this first order system?
KIF.
Yeah.
Yes.
KIF 2 pi.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
And this we will equate with 1/10 of our current control bandwidth, omega b omega by 10. Because by design, our flux control loop must be slower than our current control loop. So this is what we are incorporating here. And we know what our current control loop bandwidth is. You see how the numbers are coming up. You have switching frequency, you have 1/10 of switching frequency, you have 1/100th of the switching frequency. Understanding my point? So then your bandwidth, or you can say your KI for the flux controller is designed. And then if you know KI, you know KP also. This is what we have got. Tau I into or tau 1 into KIF. Clear? Any confusion here? Both the parameters are designed? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Gopal?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes, sir.
So then we have completed our design for the current control loop. And flux control loop. Now what is remaining?
It's speed control.
Speed control, sir.
So let's go to that now. So one by one, sequentially we are designing. There is no problem in that, right? We are not leaving anything unknown. All the parameters are very well known to us. Now let us see. And this will be very similar to what we have done for the DC separately excited motor or the PMSM motor. That clear? We have speed reference and we have the speed feedback. That is, the error is passing through the PI, and which current reference is generated over here?
Current reference.
Which current reference?
ISQ.
ISQ.
ISQ reference. Then we have controller for Q axis current. That is giving us ISQ, which is getting multiplied with our KMD, the constant for the torque. And after product with IMR, it is generating what? Tau, the electromagnetic torque. This is clear, no? Torque is nothing but KMD into ISQ into IMR. Fine? You recall that equation? Then our load torque is getting subtracted from here, and then we have our speed plant or mechanical plant that is generating our omega, which is getting closed, but there is another element sitting in between, which is our speed filter, because generally these signals are very noisy. Understanding my point? Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, what these different blocks are that we will see. So Pi is what we know, Kp plus Ki by S omega. Then we have Q axis current control loop, which is again similar to what we had, 1 by 1 plus S tau y. Then we have KMD into IMR that I can take as one gain or one constant because IMR is settled much faster than the speed control. So this is more or less a constant for the speed control loop. So then KMD into IMR can be treated as one constant, KT. That is generating our torque, which is after removing the tau L, it is passing through the speed plant, which is nothing but 1 by B plus Sj, and then our omega. And what is the filter sitting over here? One by 1 plus S tau f. This is the filter transfer function, first order filter transfer function. And when we say filter, we mean that low pass filter. Because we are interested in speed. Speed is something which is varying very slowly, almost constant, sometimes changing. So we want that steady value of the speed, not the noise, high frequency noise coming on that. Clear? So to get rid of that noise, we are having this filter. Clear, right? There is no problem in this. Now, let us see in the open loop transfer function. So this load torque we can ignore because this is coming as disturbance. And then our open loop transfer function can be given as Kp omega plus Ki omega by S. Any problem in this open loop transfer function? Clear to everybody, right? Now, if I rearranging means what? Two things to notice over here. The value of B is very, very small. It's almost zero for most of the cases, most of the applications. So we can ignore this B over here. And then if you rearrange, understanding my point? So the difference what it has from other control loops is that it has a double pole sitting at the origin. So we have 1 by S square sitting over here. This we have seen for the DC motor as well. I am only revisiting those things so that those who have missed it can again understand what happened that time. Any problem in this? Now again, see here we have two different poles coming over there. So similar to what we did for our flux poles, we can do similar thing over here. Tau I is much faster. Tau F generally corresponds to 10 Hertz filter. So a much slower pole. So either you can approximate this as only this term or a sum of these two. So whichever way you prefer. So let me write this again. And tau I plus tau F, I can write as some tau 2. There is no problem in that, right? Approximation you have understood, no? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now,
Yes,
this
sir.
is our open loop transfer function. So, can you suggest what to do now? Yeah. Any suggestion what to do now?
So we have to use symmetric optimum method.
Yes, that is correct. But why?
So because here the phase margin is always less than 0. So
Always
symmetric
zero.
less
Yeah,
than
always
0.
zero. That is true. So when we have a double pole sitting at the origin, which means what? Which was not the case with any other control system before. Whether our flux or the current, we never had a double pole sitting at the origin. We had one pole, maybe some Ki by S. One term was there. So when we have double pole sitting, our phase is already minus 180 degree. And we have seen what is phase margin. What is phase margin?
180
180 degree plus
plus
phase.
180.
Our phase plus 180 is the phase margin. So now when we have our phase, so again you can go back and revisit your Bode plots how to draw. So you will understand that phase is 180 degree, which means we have phase margin equal to 0 degree. And what phase margin equal to 0 degree suggests is that your system is unstable. It will always be oscillatory like this if you do not compensate it properly. You have double pole sitting at the origin. This point you are understanding? So no
Yes.
matter what you do, this pole zero cancellation or whatever, this is not going to change. This will remain intact, which means even after cancelling these two, nothing will change. Dominant pole is this, and that to double two poles are there. So we have to do something to improve our phase margin, and that is why we follow this method, what is called symmetric optimum method. Understanding my point? Actually, the optimum stands for optimum phase. The other two cases we were having optimum magnitude. Understanding my point? When we are designing something, we are optimizing. Here, this is the meaning of symmetric optimum method, means we are optimizing our phase. What is the maximum possible phase margin that we can get from this system? That is what we are trying to optimize. And symmetric, because we will do certain things which will have the look as a symmetrically placing the poles and zeros. So the gain and phase plots of the system, if we go for, what is happening when we have 1 by s square in the beginning? So it has already minus 40 dB slope, minus 40 dB per decade slope for the gain. If we allow it to continue like this, what will happen? It will go, and so let me use a scale so that it will go and cross the 0 dB line with the same slope. That means our phase is going to be minus 180 degree always, and we are going to see an unstable system. Now what we do from this system, what we have GOL, some constant by s square into 1 plus s kp by ki into 1 by 1 plus s tau 2. So we have a 0 and a pole sitting in the system. This we try to place such that our slope changes to minus 20 dB per decade during when it is crossing this 0 dB line. And that is where our phase will improve and become something other than or less than or sorry more than minus 180 degree. Understanding my point? So what we do, we locate our zero such that the response becomes something like this. Understanding what has happened, you position this 0 omega z somewhere here. So what will happen when a 0 is there? This will change its slope. It will become minus 20 dB per decade. And this should be such that it is way ahead than your pole, what is sitting at tau 2. So if it is way ahead, then what will happen before encountering this pole, it will cross this 0 dB line and then only it will meet this pole and then again it will become minus 40 dB per decade slope. Now what will be the impact of this? Your phase, which was minus 180 degree for this slope, minus 40 dB per decade, before you encounter this, it will start improving and it will keep on improving up to what? Before you are going to meet your omega p. So somewhere and near the zero, near the zero crossing of this 0 dB line, this will be maximum and then it will drop and it will go like this. Understanding my point? Rules we have understood, right? 10 times before the corner frequency up to 10 times of the corner frequency. This is where our phase changes approximately. So that one way you can take. But if you plot the exact Bode plot, something like this it will be appearing. Now this is what we say. This is our phase margin. The phase plus 180 degree. So this is maximum. Our phase margin is maximum when we place these three frequencies symmetrically. Symmetrically means the gap between this and the gap between this and this are same. Let us say A. And this is semi-log scale that you have to understand. This is not difference we will take, but we will take the ratio. Understanding my point? So how we are placing these frequencies, let me call this 0 crossing as omega bandwidth of speed. So some of you may question why we are calling that omega bandwidth of the speed loop. That we will discuss in the next class. But let us quickly see what is there for us. So with this, when we are symmetrically placing, we have this relationship A equal to omega pole by omega bandwidth of speed loop, and that equal to omega bandwidth of speed loop divided by omega 0. So these three corner frequencies have come in this order, a geometric progression. Understanding my point? Other way to write it is your omega pole is A times of your omega bandwidth and is A square times of your omega z. So this is the meaning of symmetric optimum. We are placing our frequencies symmetrically. The gap between the two frequencies is fixed. Then our phase margin gets to the maximum value or goes to the maximum value. Is that clear? Understanding my point? So this is one relationship what we have, or other words we can say our bandwidth is nothing but the square root of omega p and omega z. These two frequencies. Is that fine? Now, for us, there are three variables to design: kpw, kiw, and a. Now, how do we design these three? We have anyway discussed for the DC motor. So revise that, and then tomorrow we will start from here. So any confusion up to this point?
No, sir. No, sir.
No, sir.
Good. Good. So any